Good morning, seniors. This video is just particularly for you today, so not the same video for all my classes. We are going to go over a couple of things like housekeeping issues, and then we are going to actually talk about your study sync assignment in the close read that you're going to be doing today, and giving kind of in-depth instructions and also some more information, some like actual, teaching and learning going on in this video. So make sure that you watch this one all the way through. It's very important. It's specific to your assignment, and it will give some extra instruction on what I'm going to be requiring for this particular assignment. So first, let's start off with most of you went back and updated your Roots notebooks and writer's journals with your names as the title, but there are still quite a few of you who did not. And there are even some of you who are like, Roots notebook, writer's journals, what are those? Well, you're a little bit behind if you haven't done any of them. So make sure that you do that. There's more information on that, not only on the Roots video and the writer's journal video, but also the one about clarifying a few things. There's a video on that in order to get into the correct Google Drive folder. Speaking of that, please make sure that when you are doing your Roots notebook and your writing journals, that you are just continuing on with the one that you've already made. You do not need to at any point create a new one or upload it anywhere besides where you already currently have it. So when I assign it as homework in Google Classroom, that is meant to just put it on your Google Assignments calendar. Some of you indicated that that would be helpful for you. That is not meant for you to turn it in that particular place. You're going to keep an ongoing Roots notebook and ongoing writer's journal. So don't start a new one if you already have. Make sure you copy and paste and put it all together into one, and make sure that it's in the correct folder. So I'm going to be going through and looking at those today. You are going to have to do another journal today. That's something that's going to be something that we do for every class day that we have, which is just Mondays and Wednesdays, so twice a week. I'm going to be looking for your new journal entries. If you did not finish your grammar exercise or practice on noredink.com, you can go ahead and finish that today. That was not meant to be something that was like homework that you had to do Tuesday. That's something that you can work on during your English time, either on Monday. Quite a few of you finished, and it wasn't a ton of work. But if you did not finish, if you wanted to put that off, if you were already going overtime with some of the other assignments, then you could have put it off till today. And so just make sure that you get that done today, so that I can go ahead and get your grade in as soon as possible. Besides just having the journal that you're doing today, you're also going to log back into StudySync. Hopefully by this time you know your username, your password, because you were supposed to have logged in like 3 times last week and once already this week. But we're going to go ahead and take a look together. You did a first read on this excerpt from The Great Gatsby, and today you're going to do a close read, which means you're going to take a look at the same excerpt, but we're going to be looking for something different this time. We're going to be looking not just for comprehension, but we're going to be analyzing it for something specific. Excuse me. In this particular case, we're going to be talking about characterization, and we've talked about characterization before, but just as a reminder, characterization can be how you can kind of put together a character based on either how they look, so their physical appearance, what they think, if something is written kind of in first person, which this one is. It can be what the character says, so their actual speech, their actions, and then also what others say about them. So there are a couple of characters that we're going to kind of put together a characterization for through these skill-focused questions that you can see when you open your close read, and then through the writing assignment that goes along with this. So All of these skill-focused questions, or 6 of them, are going to kind of lead you to some type of characterization or realization about a character. We're going to look at one of them here together. And by together, I mean I'm going to kind of do it as an example for you. And then I want you to pick 3 other questions that you're going to do on your own on here. So we're going to look at question number 4, which says, reread the paragraph in which Nick describes Gatsby's smile. What more do you learn about Gatsby from this paragraph? And are these qualities positive or negative? So first we need to know who Nick and who Gatsby are. Nick is our narrator of this story. So when this starts off with saying, like, in my younger and more vulnerable years, that's Nick talking. And my father, that's Nick's father. Nick is living in the Jazz Age, which is what it's called now, before it was actually even kind of called that. In fact, the author of this particular piece is the one who kind of put that terminology on that time period, so the 1920s. So during this time, we've got Nick, and Nick, we kind of learn from the beginning here, is kind of a judgmental guy. And so everything that we learn about any of the characters, you have to remember it's coming from the lens of Nick. You're seeing everything from his particular perspective. So just imagine if someone were to kind of describe you, different people would think differently about you. So the characterization of you that would come from your best friend is going to be different from the characterization of your mom, different from the characterization of someone who either barely knows you or even doesn't like you. So keep that in mind when you're kind of doing a characterization of Gatsby, that this is coming from Nick. This is coming from his perspective. So go ahead, and over here you see annotation is already on. It's in orange. Turn on numbers so that it's in orange. So we've got our paragraphs numbered so that it's easier to follow along when you're reading. For example, it says the 3rd paragraph, the 4th paragraph. They are numbered, so it's easier for you. So what we're going to do, it says, reread the paragraph in which Nick describes Gatsby's smile. So I'm going to go down until I find that. And it said, paragraph 21, he smiled understandingly, much more than understandably. It was one of those rare smiles with a quality of eternal reassurance in it that you may come across 4 or 5 times in life. It faced or seemed to face the whole external world for an instant, and then concentrated on you with an irresistible prejudice in your favor. It understood you just so far as you wanted to be understood, believed in you as you would like to believe in yourself, and assured you that it had precisely the impression of you that, at your best, you hoped to convey. Precisely at that point it vanished, and I was looking at an elegant young roughneck, a year or 2 over 30, whose elaborate formality of speech just missed being absurd. Some time before he introduced himself, I'd got a strong impression that he was picking his words with care. So the question, to go back up here, says, what more do you learn about Gatsby from this paragraph? And are these qualities positive or negative? So how I'm going to annotate this, I have annotations turned on. I'm going to look at this and say, okay, what do I learn about him? It says eternal reassurance. It says, for an instant, it concentrated on you with irresistible prejudice in your favor. Understood you as far as you wanted to be understood. Believed in you as like you'd like to believe in yourself, and assured you that basically he thought of you at your best. So those all sound like pretty positive things at first. So we're going to look here, and it says, with a quality of eternal reassurance, we're going to say, Nick starts by talking about all the positive things that he feels when Gatsby smiles at him. He feels reassured and understood. This leads us to believe that Gatsby is a reassuring or positive or understanding kind of guy, a guy that you kind of want to be around. And I'm going to hit create note. But then we're not finished. It says precisely at the point that it vanished, I was looking at an elegant young roughneck, a year or two over 30, whose elaborate formality of speech just missed being absurd. So Nick is suspicious of Gatsby and thinks he may be a bit fake. So he thinks that Gatsby is so over the top that he's now at this point where he's not believable kind of as a person, and that he's kind of putting on a show or putting on airs that don't really belong to him. And another kind of piece of background information that kind of helps that is that Gatsby kind of comes out of nowhere. And he is a millionaire in a time when self-made millionaires would not have really happened by the age of 30. It happens a lot now. We have like the tech industry and people can become millionaires really young, but at the time it was unheard of unless you had family money. So he's already kind of predisposed to be suspicious of Gatsby. And so everything that he does is kind of confirming to Nick that he's correct in this judgment of Gatsby. So in your writing prompt, it basically it's asking you, what do we learn about Gatsby? So it's going to ask you to do kind of a characterization of him based on the picture that's painted from our narrator and from maybe other people kind of talking about Gatsby. Most of our evidence of who Gatsby is comes from other people's opinions. Some of it comes from his own actual actions or words as well. So make sure that you use some of the text evidence to support your claim. So you're going to do that. So you're going to respond to the prompt. You're going to be writing at least around 10 to 12 sentences. That's a couple of paragraphs. But you're also going to do what I just did. I'm so sorry. With the skill focus question. I answered skill focus question number 4. I highlighted it and I kind of made my annotation notes in there. I want you to find 3 other questions on here that you want to do that with. You can use different colors of highlighter and highlight the question. Let's say I want to do this one. Oops. Well, it's not working on mine, but that's fine. Maybe you want to do them all in different colors here. There's different color choices. And then just when you get started, put Q3 for your answering question number 3, so I know which one you're answering. Jeez Louise, it's not working for me. Q3, and then write your annotation text. So choose 3 of those to answer, and then you're also going to answer the writing prompt that I just gave you in 8 to 10 sentences. So that's it. Your journal and this close read are the only things that you've got due today. I'm more than happy to answer any other questions that you have. Just let me know. Otherwise, have a fabulous day. And also, I was going to say a fabulous weekend if I don't hear from you before then. But then I remembered that I take your attendance for homeroom every morning. So I will see you on Thursday and Friday. See you. You know what I mean. Have a good one.